Anna, on the cusp of 60, found her life had unfolded differently than she had once envisioned. 2 years after the passing of her husband, Jonathan, she was left alone. Jonathan had been a kind man, though somewhat distant, often lost in his own thoughts and work. Anna had pictured serene days filled with tending her garden, attending family gatherings, and reading books in the cozy comfort of her evenings. That summer, however, Nathan, Jonathan's 28-year-old nephew, swept into her life. The young man, a whirlwind of energy, was seeking solitude and peace away from the city's hustle. At first, he was content with solitary walks in the woods and reading on the porch, but gradually, conversations about everything and nothing began to blossom between him and Anna. Nathan had a knack for asking questions that made Anna feel seen, truly noticed. For the first time in many years, one day, as Anna struggled to mend a leaning fence in the garden, Nathan offered his help. He worked silently, but with clear determination. Anna couldn't help but notice how different he was from Jonathan. While Jonathan had always been lost in his own contemplations, Nathan seemed to live in the present moment, grounded and attentive. His presence brought a lightness to the atmosphere and a sense of new possibilities, something Anna hadn't experienced in a very long time. One day, as sunlight filtered through the tree leaves, Anna remembered the attic, a long neglected space demanding her attention. It was a repository of memories and dust, a project she had constantly postponed. Tying back her hair, she began sorting through old boxes. Just then, Nathan appeared in the doorway, his shirt clinging to his skin from the summer heat. "Need a hand?" he asked. And without waiting for a reply, he effortlessly picked up a heavy suitcase as if it weighed nothing. "Careful," Anna warned. "It's probably older than both of us combined." Nathan chuckled and gently placed the suitcase on the floor. "Good thing I'm here to help then," he replied. As they worked, they stumbled upon a box of old photographs. Anna smiled, showing Nathan snapshots of her youth. He examined each one carefully. You were beautiful," he murmured, holding a photo of Anna in her early 20s. She waved off his words. "That was a very long time ago." "That doesn't matter," Nathan countered. His gaze lingered on the photograph, then met Anna's eyes. Something unspoken, yet undeniably palpable, was in his look. The air seemed to thicken, and the space between them shifted. Anna quickly turned away, focusing on the box in front of her. "These old things are just a reminder of a life that now seems so distant," she murmured. Nathan moved closer to her. "Perhaps you don't have to seem so distant," he said softly. Anna froze, unsure how to respond. His words hung in the air, carrying a weight she didn't know how to bear. "Anna," Nathan said, gently touching her hand, "you don't have to do this alone. Life doesn't end just because someone you loved is gone." Anna looked at him, her heart pounding. She wanted to say so much, but the words caught in her throat. Instead, she nodded, allowing his words to penetrate her consciousness. That evening, an unusual quiet settled over the house. Nathan had gone for a walk, leaving Anna alone with her thoughts. She sat on the porch, a cup in her hand, watching the sun dip below the horizon. Her mind kept returning to their conversation in the attic, to Nathan's words that had stirred something new within her. When he returned, his cheeks flushed from the night air, he sat beside her, looking contemplative. "Are you all right?" he asked, breaking the silence. Anna nodded, though she wasn't entirely sure. "Just thinking about," she faltered, then decided to be honest. "About what you said. About not having to do this alone." Nathan leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "I didn't mean to overstep," he said gently. I see how much you carry, and I know what that feels like." "Do you want to talk?" Anna offered. Nathan nodded, his face serious. "Losing loved ones, it changes you. It makes you feel like you have to keep everything inside. But it's not like that, Anna. You don't have to." Something in his voice, so sincere and almost pleading, made Anna believe him. For the first time in a long while, she felt the weight on her shoulders begin to lift, if only a little. They sat for a long time in a silence that was comfortable, almost comforting. When Nathan finally rose to leave, he lingered for a moment. "Good night, Anna," he said softly. "Good night, Nathan," she replied, watching him disappear into the house. The following day, Anna began to seek out reasons to spend time with Nathan, whether it was small repairs around the house or work in the garden. She was inexplicably drawn to his company. One day, as they planted flowers along the fence, she inquired about his life in the city. He spoke of long work hours, a sense of dissatisfaction, and a desire for something more. "Is that why you came here?" Anna asked. Nathan nodded, his hands covered in soil. "I suppose so. I was hoping to find some clarity, or at least a little peace. I sincerely hope to find inner balance, at least a glimmer of hope for peace," he said, a note of longing in his voice. Offering him an understanding smile, she assured him, "You've come to the right place. You'll find what you're looking for here." Then his gaze, piercing and scrutinizing, met hers. In the depths of his green eyes lay an unspoken question, full of hidden meaning, one she wasn't prepared for. He began, but the words hung in the air, leaving only an ellipsis. With a slight tremor, she turned back to the flowers, feeling her hands tremble slightly. That evening, bustling in the kitchen, she couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was unfolding between them, something that was changing everything. Nathan, settled at the kitchen table, was engrossed in an old photo album she had left for him. His fingers carefully turned the pages, lingering on certain pictures, as if trying to decipher their story. "Is this your wedding day?" he asked, pointing to a photograph taken in front of a church. She nodded affirmatively, without looking up from preparing dinner. "That was a very long time ago, a whole era." "You look happy," he remarked, but there was a subtle note in his voice, perhaps curiosity or even sadness. "Yes, that's true," she replied, focusing on chopping vegetables. Nathan closed the album and leaned back in his chair, fixing his gaze on her. "And now? What do you feel now?" he asked directly. She paused her work and turned to him. "And now, I don't know what awaits me. The future is shrouded in fog." Nathan's gaze softened, and for a moment silence settled between them. The quiet was palpable, yet not heavy, but rather filled with understanding and empathy. Days passed, and their conversations grew increasingly candid. He shared memories of his childhood, spoke of his dreams, and what made him feel lost. She in turn opened up to him with her own stories, ones she hadn't dared to utter aloud for years. One evening, sitting on the porch watching fireflies dance in the darkness, Nathan unexpectedly asked, "Have you ever considered starting fresh?" "Start over? What do you mean?" she asked, not grasping his intention. "Yes," he replied. "Leave the past behind, find something new, meet someone new." His words caught her off guard, but she didn't look away, trying to understand the depth of his meaning. "I don't know," she confessed. "I guess I always thought it was too late for that. Time has passed." "It's never too late," he whispered, gazing intently into her eyes. A fateful moment arrived on a rainy day. A thunderstorm unexpectedly broke out, trapping them indoors. She was sitting in the living room, sifting through old books, when Nathan joined her. "Do you need help?" he offered with warmth in his voice. She smiled gratefully. "Of course, these books can go into the donation box." As he knelt beside her, their hands accidentally brushed. That fleeting touch sent an electric jolt through her, a reminder that she was still alive, that feeling still resided within her. "Anna," he whispered her name. She looked up, meeting his gaze. In his green eyes, she saw something she couldn't quite define, something that made her heart beat faster. Then he took her hand, squeezing it firmly in his. "You're not alone," he said with confidence in his voice. "Not anymore." And in that moment, the walls she had built around herself began to crumble under the force of his sincerity. The following days were filled with conflicting feelings, clarity, and confusion. She and Nathan had crossed an invisible line, one they might not have fully realized, but the warmth and spark his presence brought into her life were undeniable. One cold autumn morning, as leaves began to fall like golden rain, she and Nathan went for a walk in the woods. The silence between them was cozy and comfortable, as if words were unnecessary. At some point, they stopped in a small forest clearing. Nathan turned to her, and she saw thoughtfulness on his face. "Anna, I've been thinking a lot," he began, his voice slightly trembling. "I understand this is a path full of unknowns, but I know one thing, I don't want to walk it without you." Her breath caught. The frankness of his words touched the deepest chords of her soul, awakening feelings she hadn't experienced in many years. "Nathan," she whispered with a trembling voice, "I don't have ready answers. I'm not even sure if I'm ready to look for them." He smiled gently. "Then let's look for them together, hand in hand." The simplicity of his words brought tears to her eyes. She had carried the burden of her past alone for so long, convinced it was her inevitable fate. But now Nathan was there, offering to share that burden with her without judgment or any expectations. Standing in the forest clearing, beneath the rustling leaves, she suddenly realized one important thing. Life doesn't always offer simple solutions or ideal endings. Sometimes it simply grants a chance to start anew. She took his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. Together, she thought, and a faint smile, full of hope, appeared on her lips. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they sat on the porch, wrapped in a warm blanket. The air was crisp, and the sky was painted in shades of orange and pink. For the first time in many years, she felt a profound sense of peace, a quiet contentment from the realization that, despite the uncertainty of the future, she was not alone on this path. Nathan looked at her, and in his green eyes, she saw warmth and tenderness. "You know," he said, "I think this is the beginning of something beautiful." She nodded, and her heart filled with lightness. "I think so too," she replied. And in that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the world and the anticipation of tomorrow, she allowed herself to believe it. The past still remained a part of her, but it no longer defined her life. As for the future, well, they would write it together,